Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today's video will be dedicated to reviewing different brands of watercolor paper. I will be first doing simple paintings on all papers, and then in the second half of my video I will be comparing dried paintings, so please stick till the end. When choosing a watercolor paper, I always prefer to have cold press and at least 140 pounds or 300 gram thickness paper. I'll start with a Canson watercolor paper. This paper has a little texture to it and it's good for wet on dry technique. It is also very affordable, so if you're on a budget, this is a paper to use. Canson paper is favorite among many beginner watercolorist artists. Next is Strathmore paper. This paper is a little better in quality than the Canson paper, though it's not the perfect paper for wet and wet in general, but the quality is a little better. It has more texture to it. However, this paper is twice as expensive as Canson paper. Grumbacher paper looks like textured paper on touch. However, it is not absorbent. It is better for wet on dry technique or for gouache use. And it is price wise, it's very affordable. Same price as Canson paper. Arches paper is my all-time favorite paper. This paper is 100% cotton and absorbs water very well. So it is perfect for wet on wet technique. Because it is so textured, wet on dry could be sometimes challenging for some, since we have to use much more water. Since this paper absorbs water so well, it also absorbs the paint as much. That's why paintings turned out to be very vibrant and colorful. Price-wise, Arches paper is rather pricey. Next is Legion paper. This paper is 100% cotton and it has a nice texture to it. This paper is a cheaper alternative to Arches paper with similar qualities when it comes to blending. Legion paper come in blocks rather than in pads. Black drawing paper. This paper is not watercolor paper. It's very thin. Its thickness is 150 grams or 92 pounds, so it's not very suitable for watercolor. However, many artists prefer this paper to use for metallic watercolors, and it looks pretty with metallics, though blending techniques would not be very successful on that paper. But it works perfectly for gouache. So you can see Canson paper here. You can see the quality and how it turned out. The blending didn't cure that much very well. So I want to compare this to Strathmore. Strathmore is twice more expensive than the Canson paper, but Strathmore has a little more textured paper. And Strathmore paper, as you see blending here, I cured a little bit better, but at the same time we have again some hard lines, but this is what it is. So for the Strathmore paper, the flip side of the Strathmore paper I think is also reusable. One of my most favorite paintings on the Instagram was done just the flip side of this paper, and it turned out very well. My least favorite paper is the Grumbacher paper. Grumbacher paper, you see very rough and hard lines here. The blending almost didn't occur. Wet on wet is terrible on this paper, so not recommended at all. The back side is just like a regular paper. Very little, even though it does look like it's textured, but it's not absorbent. It doesn't absorb water at all. Doesn't allow any kind of mixing. But if you wanna, but I think it's very great for gouache. For gouache, Gouache does not require you to have a very good quality paper, very absorbent paper. That's why the Grumbacher is perfect for gouache, but not for watercolor though. Most favorite papers is the Arches paper, as you see here, even though here I didn't do the perfect blending, but as you see the blending does occur here. There's some hard lines because I added too much water. When you use Arches paper, you do have to use much more water because it's very absorbent and it's very textured. Let me compare it to Strathmore, you see, or to Canson paper. As you see, it's very, very, very textured. And Arches back, flip side of the Arches is also, I think, usable. This is a Legion paper. This is one of my favorite papers for now. It is very much like Arches paper. Just it's not as much textured as a Arches paper, but it's still textured enough to give you a good quality blending. No, I messed up a little bit here on blending, but here on the sleeve you can see nice blending occurred. And otherwise I could get like even wash. And of course Arches is still number one, but Arches is more expensive than the Legion paper. And the Legion papers, but even the backside is pretty good for a Legion paper. Legion paper comes in blocks. It's 100% cotton paper, very textured as you see, and very good quality. Right now, for now, this is my favorite paper. And so this paper, I saw some artists using it for watercolor, but this one has just 90 pounds, so it's very thin. As you see here, it's very thin, so it's not very good for absorbing, especially for wet on wet. Forget about wet on wet on this paper. But it works with metallic colors in it. I just use just plain watercolor, but metallics work better on this paper, and it works perfectly for gouache. As I told you, gouache compared to watercolor, it doesn't require you very high quality paper because you don't do blending in gouache that much. That's why it's a thicker texture and it doesn't get absorbed by the paper that much. That's why it perfectly lays on the paper that has lower quality and thickness. This is it for today. I hope you found this tutorial beneficial. If so, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.